Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs. From the smallest fights to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between.
I figured we'd just talk the app, social media.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you're an expert on.
Yeah, I know a lot more about that than dogs. So,
But yeah, so you are definitely, well, so I only started the podcast on my own 2 months ago,
mhm.
first of the year. Prior to that, I was contributing to another podcast, basically just kind of getting my feet off the ground and kind of getting used to it. And I think I've contributed like 7 episodes with them from the middle of last summer through the end of the year. So finally made the jump first of the year. And
Awesome.
between all of those episodes, you are definitely the first that does not have dogs, is not going to be about dogs.
That's all right, man. I can usually be contrarian enough about something to be entertaining. So,
But at the same point, like I've told you when we were talking, I loved Restless Native and just really enjoyed the different people that worked in outdoor media, the different musical artists. I don't know, you had different military guys. You had a variety of guests on that podcast that just were very different.
Yeah, that show was awesome. I would have loved to have kept doing it. It just didn't work out. But yeah, it was a very eclectic mix.
Yeah, but it was a lot of good conversations. A lot of, I don't know, like I said, it was just very, very different than most other outdoor podcasts.
Yeah, that was by design.
I really enjoyed it. You got me hooked with that.
Thanks, man.
So, and that's what made me one of the things that led me down this road.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
But why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. So, Brad Lutchell, the co-founder and CEO of Go Wild. So, I grew up in Southeastern Kentucky, grew up fishing a lot, outdoors a lot, hunting some. My dad taught me to small game hunt. I went to University of Kentucky, got a journalism degree, did journalism for a while, went over to advertising, did that for a while, and ultimately had a couple things kind of going on at the same time. One of which was I wanted to found a business, and I didn't know what it was going to be, and I was very open to anything, and spent years thinking about what this was going to be, because I actually had tried to start a business on the side before, got fired for it when they found out. And my new company, very much was okay with me working on the side on something else. So I had told them at some point I'm probably going to leave to go start my own company. And it just so happened I was really sucking at whitetail hunting and was trying to figure it out and crack this nut. And, when you're new to, it's one thing to hunt squirrels, but to tackle something like whitetail without really anybody to mentor you is tough. And so I was reading online and I'm reading on forums, and this whole journey was just a lot harder to do. And this is really this is I say stuff like this now, and I think people don't understand, because we have groups like the Hunting Public or Seek One, and these guys are putting out like master classes that you can do.
Yeah.
And even just 6 years ago in 2016, which 2016 is when I finally decided to do something about it. You go back to I sucked from pretty much 13 through 16 when I decided to create Go Wild. So there's 3 years of really pre-YouTube being super helpful. There were videos on YouTube that you could find, but it wasn't what it is today. And the forums were all super outdated. We're talking about forums that look like they're from 2001, probably because they were.
Exactly.
And, so I'm just really disappointed with this, because I was in advertising. We built websites. I worked on website builds that cost anywhere from $50,000 to $250,000.
Wow.
So I'm like, I know I can build something good. I've never done an app, but I just thought I could solve this problem, that hunters could not connect with other hunters like them around what they wanted to do. And really that's foundational to what we ended up with Go Wild, because you've used it. You know that it's not straight friend based. It's more topic oriented. And that goes back to the original problem of me wanting to connect with people near me around whitetail hunting. And so today, you know, we have 70 or 80 topics. You can connect with other people around. We have a near me feature, so I can literally push a button and find people to ask questions to that are in my area, posting about whitetail or fly fishing or whatever I want to talk about. Right. So that's kind of my background and how I got into the app. I mean, the app's changed a lot over the years. You know, we started off.
So let's explain what Go Wild is.
That's what's going to kind of rolling into the. You know, it started off as a social platform, and you know, you could go on there and do everything I just kind of said of like connecting with other people. Where we've ended up is really a, you know, what the technology side would call us a social commerce platform.
Okay.
Most members don't know what that means, and most people don't talk like that. So what that means is we're a social media app where you can buy stuff.
Okay.
And we've kind of partially invented this concept of what we're doing in that you can use Go Wild to share your story. You can connect with other people like you. You can get advice. You can give advice. You can share your story uncensored, which is another part of why we founded this platform. We could see early that Facebook was allowing harassment of hunters. And so we predicted that would only get worse, and we actually predicted that it would catch up to anglers too, which it is. You know, people are getting fishing content deleted from Facebook now.
Really? Hadn't heard that.
Yeah, saltwater guys are dealing with it a lot because
Okay.
Naturally there's a lot of blood, and you know, animal rights activists think fish have feelings, so they get angry about it. So, but you know, we've created this place where you can share not only uncensored, but you get points when you share your trophies. And so we have a point system that for years was just bragging rights. It was just fun. You know, it was just cool to have more points and give your buddy a little hell over it. But we've turned it into this reward system now to where when you get points, you can unlock rewards.
I'm 6 points away from my next reward unlock.
See, it works. You're like, you knew, right? But it's super fun because you can unlock like silly stuff like, you know, stickers or t-shirts, but you can also unlock like $100 discounts off Garmin's or 25% off muck boots or 50% off Vortexes. You know, we've had that steep of a discount on stuff. So
I better get my points up to get those big discounts.
Yeah,
I've got the t-shirts and the stickers and stuff, but
yeah,
you know,
dude,
maybe $5 off or something.
Yeah, you'll get a $5 gift card. There's a $25 gift card in there. There's free turkey calls that you can unlock. I mean, it's really cool. And the system really is designed now to reward you for your time outside and just for supporting a platform that's trying to support you, you know? So the reward system is really cool. And then we do have, if you just wanted to shop, you can. You know, we have a really robust shopping integration now. The challenge is we're still, you know, that was something we added in 2020 at the end of 2020, and we're still growing it. To date, we have about 40 brands that we are working with. Awesome. By summer, that's going to be probably in the neighborhood of 100 or more.
I know you
we're
recently said that you guys we're adding a lot. Great Shot, and ATA.
Yeah, we're adding. We're getting ready to add our first round of fly fishing gear right now. We found a company called Perfect Hatch that's going to come on board, and they're more entry to mid level on their gear. We'll be adding more stuff over time for fishing. I'm hoping by fishing or by summer, it'll probably be late summer just because fishing is really hard to get into. But overall, we've been adding a ton of gear. You'll continue to see brands hit. We just added a fun one for fishermen, Shady Rays, which is it's a sunglass company. We added Toadfish recently, so that gave us some rod and reels. Yep. So we're getting there, man. The company overall, if I were to boil everything, I just kind of rambled through because it's late and it's like your brain's kind of toast after a long day. I just kind of spit off a very long answer, but in short, Go Wild's a social platform where outdoor enthusiasts can share their content. They can share it uncensored. As they share, they get points. As you get points, you can unlock gift cards and discounts and rewards for your content.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been on Go Wild since 2019, I think. I don't know how I even found it. I think it was mentioned in a podcast. I don't know.
I mean, we have really focused on podcasts for growth because, in my opinion, no matter how big or small you are, anybody that sits down with the host every week really cares about what that person's view of the world is. So, that's why I do so many small shows too. And I've kind of pulled back from doing like really small and early shows. I've kind of got this rule now. Unless I know the person, I won't be one of their first 20 guests, because a lot of people I've done the show with abandon it once they realize it's hard work.
Yeah.
I did a couple people where I was supposed to be one of their first couple guests, and I did it. And, you spend an hour and a half talking to somebody, and then they never launched the thing, and that sucks. So, but we've done a ton of podcasts, and whether it be interviews, we actually are probably one of the biggest supporters of podcasts right now in the hunting and fishing space. We are advertising on Sportsman's Nation individually with some of the Sportsman's Nation guys, like the O2 with Parker McDonald. We're advertising on Bo Martonic, with Cable Smith with Lone Star Outdoor Show. We've got probably 15 or 20 podcasters we're working with this year. So really trying to give back to that community that's brought us for a lot of really good people like you, like yourself.
Like I said, I've really enjoyed the app. We just met at the Great American Outdoor Show. And actually, this is going to be the first episode of the Great American Outdoor Show series of episodes that I recorded there. So while we didn't get to record there, we met there and lined this up there.
Well, and I would have loved to have recorded with you at that show, but that show was so crazy.
It was.
We thought we would maybe create some content. We thought we'd have some downtime, which was kind of foolish in hindsight. Like, there was one day, Monday or Tuesday of that week, and I wasn't there, that my team sent me a picture of the booth, and it was dead. There was nobody in the aisles. There was nobody anywhere to be seen.
It was Monday, because I went Tuesday.
You went okay.
And everybody was like, "Oh, yesterday was dead." And I'm like, "So yesterday was the day that I should have been here to sit down
to do shows." Yeah. Yeah, and that seems to be consistent, because me and Jacob went up to that show in 2020, and we did a like early in the week like that, and it was much more dead. This time though, I was there opening weekend, and then I came back on Thursday, and just after I got there, dude, we were working our butts off, and we had one day where Braden was down with the flu, and then Braden came back and worked the booth, and turned out he still probably had the flu. Well, we didn't know it was flu at the time.
Yeah.
But then I got the flu, so that show was really hard on us.
All right, sounds like it.
So you got a whole series that you recorded up there, though.
I recorded 4 there that Tuesday when I went back.
That's a lot, man. I've done that before. It's a lot of work to record that many shows in one setting.
They were a little shorter than most of my shows, just because, like I said, I was talking to outfitters, and they're all there to book hunts and make money, and I get it. So I didn't want to hold them up for too long, and I was there all day because I recorded 2 a.m, and then we had this big lunch rush, and nobody wanted to sit down with me, which like I said, I completely understand. So it was like 3:30 before I sat down with anybody else.
3:30 was when we noticed the lulls the most.
Yeah. So that I kind of was able to record a couple towards the end of the day. It was a good time, though.
But I'm glad we were able to find some time afterwards.
Definitely. So where did the idea of Go Wild come from?
So I'm one of 4 co-founders. I'm the original idea guy, which I always am quick to tell people doesn't mean anything. People think that it's really cool to come up with an idea, but really without the execution of that, there's nothing. You don't make money for ideas. Nobody sits around and just cranks out ideas and makes money off of them. If you're going to build something, you build a company, build a product, it's the execution that matters. So I'm the idea guy, though. I thought of it in, I remember exactly where I was when it kind of hit me that I wanted to do this. Standing in a field, it was August. I was checking trail cameras in a field that I had just had 3 or 4 cameras stolen on private property down in southeastern Kentucky. Yeah, I had like 3 or 4 stolen at once. I was stupid and didn't have cables on them because I thought it was private property. Lesson learned. But this was August 2016, and I was walking through, and really the idea that pulled all this together to start this anyways was not like, oh my God, I wish I could find people to connect with. I was thinking that I don't even know if I get a deer this year, if I would post it on Facebook, because Facebook had gotten to be just so nasty, the last deer I'd gotten, which again, I was really early into my whitetail journey, and I had gotten like this 7 point that I was super proud of. Probably my third or fourth deer I'd ever gotten. And I posted it on Facebook, and my boss gave me flack for it. Like, truly, like asking me if I felt like a man now.
Really?
Because I killed something. Yeah.
That's
and
crazy. I guess my friend group
that
is nowhere near like that. So I post dead animals and I get like a bunch of likes on it. And
yeah, well,
hey, that's great.
I'm living in Kentucky's largest city. I've worked with a lot of vegans. I've worked with a lot of liberals. Like, my lifestyle is usually, when I've been in the workplace, I'm kind of the redneck of the group, which is funny because when I go back home to like really rural, I'm from 2 hours from the interstate. I mean, it's Appalachia. It's very remote, and there I'm like the city guy that they make fun of. So it's kind of like I never fit in wherever I go. I've just worked with a bunch of people that don't understand or support hunting. They don't like guns.
Gotcha.
And this guy was one of them. And so I was thinking about that as I was walking through this field, and I thought, like, I don't even know if I'd want to post about this because I don't feel like dealing with the flack. And I realized, like, what a shame that you can love something. And I did love it at that time. Wasn't particularly good at it, but I still loved doing it, and still do, obviously. But I thought it was a shame that you could love something so much and be afraid to post about it because of your job. And so that thought of what a shame really was the trigger of, like, there should be a place you could do that.
Yeah.
And then started doing the research of, I never thought about the hunting industry as an industry. And again, I think a big part of it, like, there was influencers out there. I mean, Cam Hanes and some of these really guys that are really big now weren't as big then, but there were, Steven Ranella had, not just started his podcast, but I mean, he was in the sub 50 range of shows on his podcast. Like, there were names out there that are huge now, but it wasn't what it is today. And so I just, I was like, there's not a place that you can really turn to, and I'm going to go build that. And I had never thought about the industry. I think now you have guys like the Hunting Public, you have the Seek One guys, you got the Born and Raised guys. Like, there's a lot of people who are making six figures, hunting, and it's, people are envious of that. And so there's this whole concept of hunting industry, right? And I think it's just so different now. But I'd never really thought about hunting as an industry.
Yeah.
And so I went home because I was in southeastern Kentucky. So I drove, came back up here, and I had a kid at that time. And I've got more of them now. They just keep popping up like whack-a-mole.
Oh yeah.
But I would basically, like, come home. My wife worked a night shift at the time, like 3 nights a week. And so I'd put my son to bed, and I'd spend like 4 hours researching the industry. And I just was blown away with how big this industry was.
Oh yeah.
And, the idea was like, why is no one else doing this? And there were groups that were doing it. I was not first. I had 40 apps at one point on my phone, but they all sucked. That was the thing. Like, I was like, nobody's doing this in the way that it needs to be done to succeed. Nobody's built a really good product.
Okay.
And so that was like the idea of it started there, of just realizing, like, I love this. I want to talk about it with other people that love it. The business model is sustainable because this industry is huge. This audience spends money. So if I can figure out a way to monetize it, I can make a living out of this, and I can quit my job and go do this. And I just went all in, man. And, it wasn't fast. I kicked it off in August. I started doing the research in August, and I worked on it by myself up through September. Started finding my first co-founders. I didn't go full time with this until 2018.
Okay.
And even then, I ended up working a side hustle for an insurance tech company for about 6 months to be able to make all of the numbers work. But yeah, 2018 was really when we went full time with it. And it's been ups and downs. The pandemic's made things interesting. We had to change our whole business model, kind of started over as a company in a lot of ways. But the idea started right there in a field in Eastern Kentucky.
Now, when did the app actually launch?
So we would launch it almost exactly a year after I had the idea. It took me a while to find all of my co-founders. We our first meeting of the four of us was around Christmas. We
Okay.
we would meet we would meet on holidays because that was days that guaranteed that all of us had off, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like, which is kind of funny now looking back on it. Our wives had to have hated a lot of this, but we'd order pizzas and get together, and so we technically started building the app January 2017 because we had four of us.
Okay.
And we bootstrapped, meaning paid for ourselves. I put $500 into this company to start it of my own money, and we bootstrap built the first version and launched it in September of 2017 in a beta.
Gotcha. I know even in 2019, you guys were still working kinks out left and right. It was
Still
like,
are.
Well, at that
I mean,
point.
our Google app got taken down twice recently. There's always something, man. I mean, you're never done. And that's all. I get a lot of people who ask me, like, how much does it cost to build an app? And it's like, I don't know. You just imagine emptying out your bank account for the next forever, because that's what it is. It's like you just have to pay really expensive developers for eternity because it's never done, you know?
Well, like I said, I know there's a big difference between the app now and 2019 when I got on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
we've redesigned the whole thing since then, probably multiple times. We tend to do that. We start over every like 18 months, it seems like.
I just remember there was a couple times it was like, yeah, hurry up and we just did an update because it kept crashing with this one. So
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Hell, we launched in September 2017 and our first crash was October. We didn't even make it a month, and our server went down. We haven't had too many server outages like that, but it does, there's going to be things that get improved, and we're a small team. I'm not Facebook with 60,000 employees. So
yeah,
I've got about 13 full-time people, and only half of those are engineers that are working on the actual code of it. So, it's a really lean operation.
Yeah. You've kind of went over it, but like, how hard was this actually to start from scratch?
Man, I really,
Was it harder than you thought?
yeah, it's probably harder than I even realize now, because I've thought about this when you're an entrepreneur, people like to ask you, like, what are you going to do when you're out of this phase of your life? It's like you haven't even left yet, and you're just already getting asked what's next. And I'll say this, it's hard enough to where if you handed me a fistful of money tomorrow and Go Wild, let's just assume that Go Wild is under great, that's got new leadership, and I'm feeling great about leaving it. Let's just play with this idea here for a second. It's been so hard that even if you handed me a fistful of money, you gave me a $5 million check to start a new company, I don't know if I'd want to do it. I mean, I don't.
I understand though.
It has been the hardest thing I've ever done. It's been the most frustrating thing I've ever done. I've lost friendships over it because I just have let people go, not on purpose. You have a baby that you have to take care of. And then when, it's one thing when I went full time, but when other people started going full time with this and we start becoming people's livelihoods, now you've got a commitment. And when you start, we've raised money. So now I've taken money and we have to make sure that we build a good company to be able to pay these people back. We have, like I said, 13 full-time employees. I know these people's kids' names. I know their dogs and cats' names. And it's like, there's a lot riding on this, man. And that pressure is not easy on you. I don't talk about it a lot, but I've had anxiety attacks from this thing. And, it's a lot of fun and games. There is a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. I've done a lot of cool stuff that I never would have done in my life. Yeah. I've gotten to go to Alaska to fish for halibut and king salmon.
That's awesome.
I have fished for, I've fished in the Ozarks on a retreat. I've shot with, some world-class people in really cool places that people would drool and dream about. I've hunted whitetail 15 miles from the Mexican border. I've gotten to do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I've also maxed out credit cards. I've got more debt tied to my name as a startup than you can imagine. Like, this is just, it's super stressful, dude. And so I don't talk about that. Like even some of the stuff I just said, I don't ever mention that stuff on a podcast because usually people don't ask the question you did. It's like, it must be so fun. Right. But people just don't know what to start. A company is one thing. To start a company that is very, very much going to lose money for years before it even gets close to profitability, which is what a tech company
Okay.
is a different animal, right? Like it's just you're signing up for years of stress with hope of reward. That eventually the network gets big enough to where it's making money.
Yeah.
But it's a lot, dude. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If it all ended tomorrow and like again I had that moment where I could kind of walk away and there was somebody driving the ship, I would probably take like 6 months to figure out, just to like simmer.
Yeah.
It's like just to like come out of the head fog that I live in.
Now, you just made an interesting point saying how social media company and tech companies, like, you go years without making money. I never even thought about that. Obviously, with the e-commerce side, I get how you're making money, but just a social media platform in the early stages, it's like, how in the world do you monetize that at all?
Yeah, we made money. There's a difference between making money and being profitable, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've made money. I signed my first deal in 2018 of January before I even went full time. Arcus Brands or Arcus Hunting came on as our first client, and I started signing other clients, and we've made money. We were actually on pace to have a record year in 2020 coming out of trade show season, and then COVID hit and just completely decimated our business model.
Yeah.
And so, because we were advertising based, it's like, hey, you guys are trying to reach duck hunters. Guess who has the best audience of duck hunters? Me. Yep. So I could advertise, and we had great data, and people didn't mind the advertising because it's like, oh, I love the duck hunt, and here's all these duck hunting ads. Like it's gear. Wouldn't you rather have that than like your wife looks at shoes, and then the next 12 ads on your Facebook feed are shoes?
Yeah.
So like we were actually providing a good service to brands and customers. When COVID hit, though, the first thing to get killed is advertising budgets.
Oh yeah.
And then, brands were saying like, oh, we'll have our advertising budget back in June. Well, they weren't anticipating how screwed up the supply chain would become, and still is 2 years later. So we basically after Q2 of 2020, we were like, okay, if we're going to make it, we got to change our business model. So we changed the entire company business model to sell.
Yeah.
And then you're starting all over again. We had to learn how to do all that stuff too. So it's been a slow road. I've looked back at some of the projections, and I definitely naively thought we'd be making more money than we do now.
Yeah.
But I also will say I've never felt better about where we are, because, now with the social shopping side of this, like people love it, dude. They love being able to see, like when you shop for gear on our platform, you can see who's using the product. You can interact with those people. You can ask them questions. We're adding a lot of value into that. Like you mentioned the rewards earlier, it shows you how many rewards you're going to get for buying a product. We're donating to a nonprofit that teaches kids to hunt, fish, and shoot.
Yep.
That we donate 1% of all of our profits to that camp. So things are clicking, things are resonating, but it's definitely been slow going because again, you could start an e-com company selling handcrafted duck calls, and you can start making money tomorrow. You're a lean operation of one guy, right?
Yeah.
You can do it that way. You can't really run our company without at least 3 or 4 or 5 really skilled developers at the very least. So it's just a very expensive company to run, Yep.
Now, moving forward, do you feel you're going to stay a social media app, or do you think you're going to push more towards the e-commerce side?
We will definitely stay social, because our bet, our competitive advantage on the shopping side is that if you're researching a Garmin Instinct, we want to be the place that has the most information about that watch from the field. So like we have social posts from the field that you can see how people are using that watch. A lot of people use this for fishing or hiking. You can interact with those people. It's better than reviews because it's authentic. So they have to meld together to make that work.
Okay.
And our heart and soul is in the social side. I still, very much believe in that the industry needs us or someone like us. The industry is getting screwed left and right on the major platforms, and so we need a champion for our social content. And I do think that Go Wild can be a place that can handle the more raw conversations. There's certain content that you can't post on Instagram. You can't even post a gun on TikTok. So let's not even go there. We need a place like us. So our mission is actually to unlock the gate to the outdoors. And you do that by being a social company, not by being a commerce company. Okay. Commerce is how we've decided to monetize the platform. It's not the heart and soul of the company, though. The heart and soul is in connecting people.
You just said, with a lot of other social media sites, censorship and also just backlash from non-hunters is kind of an issue. I know you've written articles, you've done podcasts, you've talked a lot about the social media side. I don't know, give your 2 cents on the whole social media side of stuff in hunting.
Yeah, I speak a lot about this. I spoke last night to, I was on the Blood Origins podcast because Matt Ranella was on there and stirred up that whole conversation around should hunting even be participating in social media? And, Matt's opinion, Matt Stevens' brother, I'm sure most people know this, and they probably are aware of Matt's argument that came about recently on the Meat Eater podcast and Blood Origins and the Free Range America. And there was a lot of content cranked out around this argument around November and December. I wrote a big rebuttal piece, which maybe we can drop that in the show notes. I wrote a huge article about this, my thoughts on this, but to boil it down, not necessarily to rebuttal Matt, because that's not what I'm here to do, but to just make a general statement. I hate social media. And it's kind of ironic because I founded a social media company, but you will not find me on a Facebook or an Instagram. Now, there's a great irony in this because I believe that as hunters, it's very important that we are sharing our story on social media. So I'm in a little bit of a conundrum here because I just told you that we should be doing this, but I won't participate in Meta platforms. But that's because I have moral values personally that supersede even my love for hunting. Meta as a platform has just gotten to a place where they know that their platform, Instagram, Meta's Facebook, the parent company, it owns Facebook and Instagram. So Meta knows that Instagram is detrimental to 32% of our teen girls' mental health and their body images, and they don't care. Literally, the head of Instagram said that those numbers are quite small. 32% of teen girls, that's huge, right? Yeah. And they said it was quite small. 6% of teen suicide attempts are attributed to Instagram bullying. Wow. Instagram and Facebook both know that their platforms are being used for human trafficking. They know that the drug cartels are using it for recruitment. They know that it literally makes 320 million people depressed to use Facebook, and they don't do anything about any of this. And so there's this human aspect of this platform that I just don't want to be a part of. Makes sense. I say that, but I'll also say that for the good of hunting, if you're on these platforms, you shouldn't just stop talking about hunting because Matt Ranella's whole thing is like, you're posting dead animals for strangers to see, you're fueling anti-hunters. Well, that's not a bad point. There are a lot of points that he makes that are good points. The knee-jerk reaction to say that we should just stop talking about hunting on social media, though, is where it goes too far. We need to share our voice. Nobody ever gained share of voice by not talking, in fact. So I think it's really important that we continue to share thoughtful stories, which is why I do still create so much content. We've had many heated debates internally at Go Wild about whether or not Go Wild as a platform should use Meta platforms, being Facebook and Instagram. We're still there at the moment. We're experimenting with other platforms too, like TikTok. But I've kind of chosen my platform of LinkedIn, and it's gone a lot I've gotten a lot more voice there than I ever had on an Instagram or Facebook anyways.
Okay.
So I try to share my story there. I like to tell people, like, wherever you are, just remember that no matter what, we're all PR advocates for hunting. And
Mhm.
so you should really focus on telling a story that might change somebody's opinion and say, you know what? I didn't know that part of it. I didn't know that that's how hunters felt, or I didn't know that they were contributing so much to conservation. I didn't know that they ate the meat. You wouldn't
Mhm.
believe how many people don't even know that we eat meat, right?
Yeah.
Like they think that you shoot a deer and just leave the meat out in the field.
Yeah. Well, especially for hound hunters, I know that's very common of bear and mountain lion hunters. Like a lot of people don't
Mhm.
realize that people do eat bears and mountain lions, and so
Yeah,
they're
and
just
they're
like,
both great. I mean, it's like it's great meat.
yeah,
I mean, bear sausage is awesome. I haven't had a mountain lion yet, but I hear it's like you can basically treat it like pork.
that's what I've heard. I don't.
In fact, if you're trying to offload a mountain lion ham, call Brad up because I really want to smoke one and try it out. But yeah, man, I mean, that's a great, like, dogs guys take a lot of flack. Trappers
Yep.
take and so I think I'm kind of on a tangent here, but I'm only a third of the way through my answer to you. I'll try to speed this up here. So that's my part of this, of like the moral side of why I don't, but why we should. And I know it's complicated. You could probably call me a hypocrite in some ways that I'm not on those platforms, but like I'm just not doing the meta thing until they clean up some of their stuff. Like there's no way in hell I would let my daughter, if she was teenage age, be on Instagram. There's no way. Like there's no freaking way it would happen. So I'm not going to participate there myself. On the flip side of this, from the business standpoint, my company has been blocked, banned, kicked off of, or had content deleted, censored, or throttled on every platform you can think of. We have, we've been all the things. So we've been demonetized at some points on YouTube. We've had advertisements taken down off YouTube. I have had twice my entire account on Facebook locked from advertising because the second time, actually, I think both times was over binoculars when we were still advertising on Facebook. We don't advertise on Facebook anymore because we don't want to pay Facebook or Instagram $1. As again, that was kind of one of our moral decisions with the company, is that we're going to stop funding Facebook.
No, but over binoculars, like.
Yep. I've got screenshots of the ad that it was Jacob, our head of business development, who you met up at Gayos.
Yep.
And it was a picture of him. He had, I don't know, probably, I don't remember what kind of camo pattern it was. I think it was a real tree camo pattern. Holding a Badlands bag, binocular bag. And the other hand, or he was wearing the harness, the Badlands harness, holding Vortex binoculars, and they called it a weapons accessory.
Oh my.
And
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so we battled that multiple times, and the industry's just getting blacklisted, and we take it on the chin and we say ridiculous stuff like, well, they're a private company, they can do what they want. And I mean, you have this entire industry that with firearms will say you can pry it from my cold dead hands. But when someone tells us that we're not wanted or allowed to be there, we say, okay, yes, sir. Like we don't fight back. And it blows my mind. And even more so, it blows my mind that companies will go to such great measures to be able to work around Facebook's rules and try to hide. They'll build entire micro websites to try to sell a few products and get around these rules. Also, they can pump millions of dollars into these platforms that turn around and use the money against them.
Yeah.
This is a huge industry problem that I just spoke at SHOT Show about a little bit of this. We are not at all thinking about the next 20 years. And the next 20 years of social media are not going to look like the last 20 years. Facebook is losing its grip. I don't know, your audience may not pay attention to this much, but Facebook for the first time in a long time has lost, and really there's only one other period that kind of plateaued or lost users in the United States. Facebook is losing users for the first time ever, really significant users. Their advertising model is getting decimated because Apple has finally said enough is enough over the privacy. And Google just announced last week that they're going to follow suit with Apple and also start restricting Facebook's ability to basically piece together third-party data to build these really robust profiles on people, which is what made Facebook, quite frankly, the greatest advertising platform ever built. But the hunting industry and the shooting industry has largely said, like, okay, we'll just try to play ball and we're going to keep paying money into this. We're going to keep focusing on this. And they haven't supported platforms that support 2A. And I don't say that to say that they should just be advertising with us. In general, they haven't really worked with a whole lot of any up and coming brands. And it could be us or one of our competitors. There's been a few legitimate competitors out there. And, I've been a big vocal advocate that we need to wake the hell up because the industry is building glass houses on sand.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been examples of brands that have woken up and lost their ability to link out from their Instagram profile. They've lost their ability to reach new people. They get throttled. A lot of people think of it as shadow banned. All this stuff is happening. And the industry just turns the cheek, and we say, I'd like some more, so just keep inviting the blows. And so, I could ramble on about social media and how I feel about it. That's like another third of the way through. I've got more thoughts on it, but I mean, man, it's a messy state and it's complicated. I think we have to have a voice there. We have to fight back. But at the same time, put belief and faith and honestly money. I think the industry should be funding groups like us because we're at least trying, and definitely. It's kind of been disheartening in some ways on the business side to see how many companies are okay with the status quo. Truthfully.
Now, what are your thoughts on like the way hunters are using social media? So not necessarily like social media sites in the way they ban us or they censor content or anything. One of Matt's points was like he doesn't like the grip and grins and whatever. And so what are your thoughts on the way hunters use social media and how maybe we should clean up our act or change the way we do things to be maybe more palatable to the non-hunting public?
So when I was on Instagram, I decided in about 2018 that I was going to stop posting grip and grins, and because I felt like there was enough of it out there. I'm also not killing big bucks, so it's like, what's the point? I don't have anything like brag worthy from that angle. Now, I will say, like, I posted a spike on Go Wild this year, and it was a really embarrassing story. And I owned it though, so I don't hide behind. I'm not one of these guys that goes out there and kills for content. In fact, I usually have the opposite problem. I forget to do content when I'm out. Matt's criticism over killing for content is 100% accurate. In fact, I think he could have gone a lot further in highlighting the problems. I think he knows industry problems that he didn't talk about. And you can hear a little bit of that in the MeatEater episode, where he literally stops himself from giving examples that I'm guessing are with MeatEater. And I don't mean to knock MeatEater. I think they've done a lot of great things for hunter recruitment. But I'm just saying there's obviously stuff there that those guys would find embarrassing. I'll say that what I'm about to say is a direct step away from MeatEater. This isn't about MeatEater. I'm just going to say some things that I've seen in the industry. There are influencers that I know that have been on hunts with other influencers. And when they shot a deer, my buddy shot a deer, and there was 3 other influencers who wanted to take pictures with his deer to have content. And there are people that I know and have talked to that will kill a deer with one product and say they did it with another. There are poaching examples. I won't name names on that either. Actually, I did link to one in that article. You can go figure out who I'm talking about. But the drive for having enough content to fill out a content calendar is making some of these guys travel the country and hunt multiple states and do things they wouldn't normally have done. And there's a certain point, I don't know where that moral threshold is. There's a certain point where it gets a little gross. And I'm not trying to be holier than thou. I don't think you can. I don't think you have to eat all the meat yourself. You can donate meat. I'm not trying to draw those kind of lines. but we deal with something that no other industry deals with, in that we kill things.
Yeah.
And when you kill for profit, and you're not a butcher, it gets a little weird. There's this weird line that I don't know the moral answer to. But I thought Matt could have gone even further into explaining, or like exampling that. And I actually went further into it on my article. So if anybody wants to read more about my opinion on that, it's well documented. The question you had was really around how should we procure our content? And I answered a little bit of that earlier. But I think no matter what you're doing, and you can still post Grip and Grins tastefully. Rochelle Schrute is someone that's on Go Wild. She's on a ton of platforms. Honestly, Rochelle, you're on too many platforms. She's going to kill herself posting on these platforms. She's one of my favorite content creators, though. And somehow she can post a dead deer on, she'll post a dead deer on a mule deer on LinkedIn, and it makes sense. And she does it really in a way that's like, I can read that and I'm like, man, it's so respectful. And she told like a really good story, and she's a guide, and she's in the hunting industry, and she tells a really compelling story that tells other people why this is so important to her.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just post brag and tag type stuff. It's like they're just showing off when you put your anti-hunter or your non-hunter hat on. Anyways, it's like, oh, this guy's just posting so he can brag about it. You don't talk about all the other stuff. Or this might even be some people's only hunting post of the year. Mm-hmm. They're doing all this other stuff, and then boom, there they are in camo with a dead animal. And you didn't do anybody any service by that. Some of your buddies might say, hey, good job. But Matt's point of like, why do you need to post dead animals for strangers to see? This is what he's talking about. It's out of nowhere. Yeah. You're often not explaining things. So, when I was posting onto Instagram a lot, I focused on, I made a conscious decision. I'm going to double down on sharing the adventure. I'm going to double down on sharing the food. Mm-hmm. And that was what I did. I'm not some killing machine. I pretty much still suck at hunting. I'll kill a turkey and a deer like one a season or something, but I'm not out there, killing the 190-inch deer. Yeah. So I don't see myself as a guy that has to worry about that side of it. And if anything else, I feel like I might be able to just show some people like, hey, there's other ways you can share the story. There's other things you should talk about.
I really like your perspective on that. Sharing the adventure, sharing that story, and especially for houndsmen, that's the hard thing that most people don't understand. So we get a lot of flack because people say, oh, you use a dog, so it's cheating or it's easy.
Right.
And they don't realize all the work that goes in on the back end. You have to keep that dog 365 days a year, take care of that dog. Not to mention the training, the fact that...
Well, they've never seen a dog in the field. I mean, if you've ever just been out with you guys, I've seen upland dogs work quite a bit, and it's just amazing to when you see it, that you guys are putting in a tremendous amount of work. Oh, yeah. They don't just do that, know?
And that's what most people that don't hunt with dogs don't realize, is they just think you turn a dog loose and it just does it. And it's like, no, that's not the way it works. How long does your deer season last?
Here in Kentucky, we have a long season that goes September to January.
And January comes around and you hang up your bow and your gun, right? And you're done. Mm-hmm. You might go out in the woods, how many more times between then and, say, August?
I'll do turkey season, and then I'll do some scouting, but I'm not like you guys. You guys have to, next day you still got responsibilities,
Most houndsmen, depends on where you're at, what you're running, and, there's certain places that have certain training seasons, but as far as coon hunting, we'll run, I know coon hunters that'll hunt year round, 4, 5, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's not lazy at all. And the people that listen to this podcast, they realize it. And
well, too, the other thing I think people don't realize is how much you guys walk.
Yeah.
It's like, unreal amounts of mileage you all are putting on boots and the wear and tear on gear. But again, people don't know. Trappers are going through the same stuff, man.
Yeah.
I see it within our community. We have an awesome community of trappers and super active. And it's fun to watch those guys and learn from it. But if you've ever just Go Wild's a great example of. I didn't know a whole lot about trapping until Go Wild, and I still
Yeah.
don't know. I wouldn't be able to just like
I don't know much.
I couldn't just like walk out and do it. But from watching those guys in the community, I've learned a ton about how hard it is. You know, you're talking about putting a trap out there in a like matter of inches that is going to catch something that's coming through, you know,
Mhm.
thousands of acres, right? And
Yep.
being able to predict where that's going to happen. So I have respect for them just like I do the houndsman, you know, and I think sharing, so for you guys, it's sharing that story all year long of all the work that goes into the training
Mhm.
and you know, also just focusing on the respect when you do get something, you know, trying to take that extra second to
Mhm.
wash a little bit of blood off a deer. I switch back from houndsman to deer hunting, but that's
It's
the
all right.
one that like I always, when you see like the tongue hanging out and there's freaking blood everywhere, I'm like, man, I know like you don't want to like, people will say stuff like, I'm not sugarcoating my experience with the snowflakes. And I'm like, I get that. Um, but also the snowflakes vote, and
Yep.
we are going to lose hunting at the polls. It's not on Instagram. So,
Exactly.
you know, taking that 2 seconds to pull that deer out of the blood pile
Mhm.
to put its tongue in its mouth helps. It does.
Yes.
I don't know how else to tell you that other than the voting is the third leg of the social
Mhm.
media tour that I didn't hit.
Yeah.
But we need more diverse voters, and you know, anything we can all do to procure an image that helps with that is good.
Definitely. Now, one thing you said about showing the work that we put in every day as far as houndsmen and the time, and so it's like, you know, you're gonna hunt every night, or you're gonna train every weekend if you're running big game or something. Nobody knows that unless you're telling the story. And one thing I
Mhm.
like about Go Wild is the logging of time. So I'm not one of those people that hunts 5 nights a week because I got little kids, so I just can't do it. But I hunt a couple nights a week, and you know, hour and a half. So if you go and you want to look at my Go Wild profile, anybody, I'm not somebody like I don't hide anything like you, Bradley. It is what it is, and I
Yeah.
log almost every hunt. I try to, and I tell
Well, I
the
think
truth
on Go Wild though, that's the place where you can do it. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it there because everybody gets it. You know,
Mhm.
it's like deer camp. But if you're going to post that on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or you know, TikTok, where you'll probably get it deleted for you anyways because that's what they do. But you know, those are the places where you really got to be a little bit more aware.
Mhm. So that's one thing I do like about Go Wild is like I log every hunt and I tell how it is, and
Yep.
my dog looks like crap tonight. That's what I'm gonna write. You look
Yeah.
like crap tonight. You know
Yep.
that happens.
Yep.
What other reasons do you have? Why should people use your app, especially houndsmen?
Well, you know what? We're getting ready to launch. I'm sitting on inventory of those new Garmin dog collars that just came out.
TT15X, the
Yep.
T5X.
Yep. It was kind of funny. I didn't realize those things hadn't come out yet. I had them with me up at Gayos, and I called my rep to ask him a question about them. He's like, "Wait, do you have those?" And I said, "Yeah, you guys gave them to us." He's like, "You're not supposed to have those yet. You can't tell anybody about them." So I'm excited because we've been sitting on them for weeks now. We knew about them before the product was even announced.
Nice.
And so we do work with Garmin, and the as you use Go Wild, you do unlock deals from time to time on Garmin products. So, you know, if you're using the Montana or if you're looking for an Alpha, there are going to be times when you can get discounts. I'm just throwing that out there. I
Cool.
typically don't push the shopping part hard, but if you're going to buy from an Amazon or you're going to buy from Garmin Direct or you're going to go to Bass Pro anyways, when you buy through us, you do get the benefit of like, it helps with the points because you get $1 per point. So
Okay.
you're unlocking future rewards, but also I just think it's super cool that, you know, we take 1% of our profits and donate them into that camp
Yeah.
because now you're helping somebody else learn, and we need that, man. We need more people learning and
definitely
getting into the outdoors. So that's from the business side. There's that the shopping side, like you're going to get discounts and deals, and from the educational side, I've found that when you have a question on our platform, there's really not any better place to turn to than our platform to get it answered. And a lot of your guys might be veterans. So for them, it might be helping other people with answers.
Yeah.
But when you post on Go Wild, you can hit a button that says ask the community. And the what that does is, okay, we know you asked this, you put it into duck hunting. Okay, we're going to ask all the people that we think can help you with this, that follow duck hunting and participate in duck hunting. We're going to try to get them to help you find an answer. A lot of times when people do this, they'll like, I'll see this a lot in turkey season. They'll post, hey, it's windy, it's raining, I don't know what the birds are going to do after a night of this weather. And they'll post that question, and then they wake up in the morning and they've got 12 answers of people that have helped them get better. So like, there's a really cool feature in there that you can use, and it that my voice is catching up to me. I apologize, guys. The app helps you find those answers, but also as you're scrolling through the community, you'll see a little gray bar that says question for the community. So the app is multiple ways trying to get you answers.
Yeah.
That part of it's really cool. I like using the trophy feature. So, if you get a raccoon or you get a deer or whatever it is, you can store that to your profile, and it kind of makes a nice little storage way to find those trophies later instead of digging through like 5,000 posts on your phone. You can kind of quickly go through your Go Wild trophies and find what you're looking for. We hadn't really mentioned that, but it gets pinned to your profile, and that's pretty cool.
I don't typically keep track of how many coon I kill. I mean, it's not.
I know you guys are all slayers.
Well,
it's like
no, it's actually I don't kill many. I think last year killed 10 or 12, and this year's less than that. But it's like when I need to count it, I can go through my trophies, and it's like, all right, there was one that night, one here.
Yep. So that feature is really cool. The near me thing is just one of my favorite features, because you can literally go in and connect with people around you at a very specific topic point. So that's kind of the hit list, man. I mean, the rewards are a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I think anybody that uses it for any amount, people like free stuff. You get $10 for just trying the account. If you go to downloadgowild.com, download the app and create an account, you get $10. There's really no reason not to try it out.
Awesome.
It's free. I don't know if I mentioned that. The app's free.
There you go. Now, one last question. Have you ever hunted with hounds?
So, no, I haven't.
Really? You're from Southeast Kentucky, Appalachian. You've never hunted with hounds? Or
no, man, my uncle ran dogs, but I've never been out on a hunt with hounds per se. Now, dogs in general, like I said, I've done the upland side. I've seen that. And it's a totally different animal than what you guys are doing. But no, man, I haven't. And that's one of those things. It's like I need to. It's like a bucket list thing I need to do to get to see. Yeah, because I know it's a totally different.
Marcus Gray on your podcast multiple times.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about it.
Squirrel hunter.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about squirrel hunting, and I love Marcus because I always get to learn a little bit about it. Me and my dad just walk and squirrel hunt, and you can end up with a nice little bag limit doing that where we go too. But I definitely want to try the squirrel hunting with the dog because it seems super fun. I've seen the Kevin Murphy episodes of Meat Eater, which are like now infamous, but I'd love to try it sometime.
Definitely. You need to get out there with some dogs. There's no better way to hunt.
No, it seems fun, man. I admire you guys that keep these dogs too. It's really incredible what you guys do with them.
Like you said, you've got some kids. The best way to get kids involved? With a dog.
Yeah, I had to get a real dog. My dog's like a city dog. He's I had to upgrade.
Get you a little feist. Wouldn't be too big in your backyard, and take it squirrel hunting.
Yeah, maybe Ernie's getting old, so maybe down the road we'll get a new dog once Ernie moves on to that big pasture in the sky.
Oh my, you're worried about having two dogs?
Dude, right now, my wife after this one is already like, don't you go run out and buy another one after he dies. So
my wife's like, we've got 5. You don't need another one.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I'm like, I think we do.
Yeah, you guys are a different breed, man. Again, I think it's really cool what you all do, and I love watching videos and stuff of it. I do need to try it. I don't think having that many dogs is going to be for me, but I love what you all do. I love learning about it.
Well, next year if you come to Gayos, we'll make it happen.
All right, that would be fun. Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Not too far.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this podcast tonight. I really appreciate it. I really like the app. We'll leave some links in the description so people can find it.
Sounds great, man. Yep. It's download gowild.com. We make it nice and easy for you. So you hit the link and it'll take you either to, the Android store or the Apple store. Once you create an account, you'll get $10 and you'll get a message from me. I always tell people at the end of the podcast. So you're going to get an automated message from me. But if you respond back to that, that's really me that's corresponding with you there. So the automated one is just because we get too many people. I couldn't send all those messages, but I really do respond back to the thousands of messages I get a month.
And I will attest to that. You have responded to me multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah. I always respond. It may take me, I try not to let it be more than 2 days ever. I'm usually within 24 hours. It just kind of depends on how many people have sent messages.
Mm-hmm. Good deal.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.